Everybody, welcome to another tournament preview of the conference tournaments. And today we're talking about the Big 12. And
go Marcus Smart.
And I guess what do you see as the best game in the quarterfinals? Because the first round, I mean, there's only two games. I think it's pretty safe to say that Baylor and Oklahoma State are both coming out of those.
Baylor has an interesting 7-footer in Austin, and if he can get going, they can beat anybody on a given night in the tournament.
I agree.
I think they have to win a couple games to get in, though, so I don't know how that's going to work. But I think that the 4-5 and the 3-6 matchup, Iowa State versus Kansas State. I mean, I think just because they played so close in the conference regular season play, I think those will be interesting, along with Texas and West Virginia. But I'm really interested in to see this Oklahoma State team because I think if they lose to Kansas, it doesn't hurt too much. You know, It doesn't hurt their tourney berth. How they play them will depend. I think will decide whether or not they get in. If they win, they're in. But if they lose close, I think they're still in. But if they get blown out, that's going to change a lot of the committee's mind. But I think that Oklahoma State-Kansas is the most enticing 1-8 matchup I've seen in a while.
I mean, yeah, what a.
How unlucky is Kansas?
And, that was very unlucky by Kansas. I also, what's huge is Embiid has been ruled out for the entire Big 12 tournament and for the first round probably of the NCAA tournament. So, and we've already seen that Oklahoma State can beat Kansas even with Embiid for at least a half and with full strength, right?
Yeah. Marcus, I mean, I just come back to guard play. I mean, Marcus Smart is so valuable. I think if they get a bad matchup in the NCAA tournament, that's unlucky. But last year they were the 5 seed, and they got upset by Oregon, the 12 seed. Mm-hmm. And that's why Marcus Smart came back, essentially. He made an emotional decision at the end of that tournament saying, this isn't good enough for my legacy. I want to do more. I want to become a better shooter. And then he came up with all these other reasons. And I don't think he was ready for the NBA. Well, that's a different story. But I think that Oklahoma State's found their groove. I think that they're over the tough times. I think that they've only got up to go. And I think that this Kansas game, this Oklahoma State team is a trap. That's a trap game for Kansas. First game of the Big 12 tournament. You're riding a high because you're 10 straight Big 12 regular season titles. And then you have to play such a tough game in the quarterfinals. I think that their semifinal game might be easier than their quarterfinal game if they do get through.
I think Kansas definitely is the toughest team in this tournament, but
so do you have them beating Oklahoma State?
Not that I've totally fallen out of love with Oklahoma State. I'm not as positive after seeing them play Iowa State their last game. They lost in overtime. Marcus Smart did foul out at the end of regulation, so that's one thing, but. I really want to see them kind of prove to me that
they belong.
I
don't think they're going to beat Kansas.
I don't know if they have it in them again.
On a neutral floor, after they upset them.
The only thing to me is Embiid being out. I don't know if Kansas is that.
I think Marcus Smart
team.
has to play better than he's ever played for them to beat them because I think
Marcus Smart just has to
actually
play
that Joel Embiid is a very big.
It's huge.
That's a big.
It's huge.
And that's big for his
their second best player,
NBA prospect. I mean, the fact that he got hurt, that's like
and it's a bad
every
injury.
big man that ever got hurt, Andrew Bynum, Greg Oden, all of them that get hurt, you worry about that with Embiid.
I don't think they're too worried about it. I'm not sure. He just has such a huge upside that unless this is a really serious injury that will compromise him for the rest of his career, and the doctors say that, I just don't think that will deter NBA teams from drafting.
He's 7-footer. He can walk and chew gum. He's going to get a contract.
Definitely.
But out of this tournament, I see Iowa State getting through because of this kid Ajim. The ability to get buckets is so valuable in college basketball this time, but I see Kansas making it to the final. I haven't watched Oklahoma play. much, but I think that Oklahoma Texas game would be fun. I'm a big fan of rivalries, and I think that would be. That's the matchup you want to see on that side of the bracket, at least.
Yes, and both teams their programs are kind of on the upswing too. They're like Texas was relevant. It hasn't been super relevant since maybe
Durant.
Kevin Durant.
And Oklahoma's still getting over the Blake Griffin hangover.
Since Blake Griffin, right. And so they're both teams that kind of want to make that national push, want to make it to that stage.
And right now, Oklahoma's a 5 seed in the tournament, according to Lenardi, and Texas is a 6. The reason I reference this so much is because it's the only thing we have to judge what they're going to be in the tournament. Lenardi gets this shit pretty good. He's pretty good at.
Yeah, he gets.
He's not perfect. No one is, but he's pretty good at predicting this. Anyway, I think that Kansas is going to win this tournament. I don't think that they're going to. I think that Oklahoma State's the only team that has a chance to beat them. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that it's a quarterfinal. If I'm Oklahoma State, I'd rather play Kansas the first game. You have one game. You have a game the night before, so it's a disadvantage a little bit. But these are 18 to 21-year-olds. It's not that big of a deal. They've had harder workouts 2 days in a row. But I think that Kansas being a little bit cold, that first game just scares me a little bit for some teams, Yeah. Because it's just you haven't played in a while, and
they just came off a loss,
and you're expecting to not have to play too tough of a team. So I just think that that could be a trap game. But if they get through that, I don't see them losing again. And I've got Kansas winning, and I've actually got Kansas as my 4th number 1 seed. Kansas has got to be the favorite going into this tournament, and they've got to be the favorite to get the farthest in the NCAA tournament. Am I right?
I'm still not positive that they're going to beat Oklahoma State. I think
because of Embiid or lack thereof.
Because of the lack of Embiid, and I love Marcus Smart. I think we both do.
We both think very highly.
Yeah, very highly, and we stress this every single time, but it's just that time of year. It goes down to guard play.
Yeah,
he's a guard.
Important.
He might be the best point guard in college basketball.
When your best player on your team is a guard, and you're in the NCAA tournament, you have a shot to win every single night.
Yeah,
and Oklahoma. That's definitely with Oklahoma State.
The only thing that I can get on Marcus Smart for really right now, and which could hurt him come tournament time, is his shot selection. I think he's been jacking up too many threes, just trying to prove that he's a good shooter. He's not necessarily making a terrible percentage of them, but his strength is going to the basket and getting fouled, just creating for his teammates, stuff like that.
I think that's the key. I think creating for his teammates is the key. He lost one of his teammates. Cobbins, I think, is the one that is out for the season.
Yeah,
but he lost one of his starters for the season. Mm-hmm. But I think he was at his best when he was attacking the second defender. So he gets by his guy easily. Yeah. But it's that guy that comes at him. You attack him, and that's what disrupts the D. Right. Whether he comes, whether he stays, that's where you read the D. Mm-hmm. That's where the action happens. And I think that's where he's the best. Inside the paint, inside the 3-point line. He needs to not focus on what he wants to be, but he needs to focus on what he is.
And what can make his team the best.
He needs to play inside himself because that's what makes his team the best. And that's what makes him the best.
Right.
And if Oklahoma... Okay, so let's say... So we have Kansas. If they beat Oklahoma State, we have them going through to win the whole thing. What happens if Oklahoma State wins?
If Oklahoma State wins, I think...
This tournament's wide open.
I think it's a lot more wide open. I think the winner of the Oklahoma State-Iowa State game will ultimately
it's their tournament to win.
Will ultimately win the tournament.
I honestly think
Iowa State has proven that they can play with Oklahoma State,
and they've got that kid Ajib.
I'm not as hot as
but he can score.
He can score.
I haven't watched him play, but he can score. Night in, night out, he's getting 25 points a game. And that's unbelievably valuable at this time of the year.
The times I've watched him play, though, I just have not been totally sold on him. I think he's not the clutchest player to me, and he
a 3.5.
And I think he's kind of a minus on D too.
Yeah.
He's
to have that much energy, to have that much bounce on O, you can't play 40 minutes of hard. 40 minutes of hard D. But I think it comes down to this Kansas Oklahoma State game. I think that the winner coming out of that game
could be the winner of the tournament.
I think they're the favorite. I think they're the team to beat because Oklahoma State has the talent, and they would be coming off a huge Kansas win.
Right.
And Kansas
got to
is
ride
Kansas.
that wave. Yeah.
So,
Kansas.
yeah. So anyway, I think Kansas has the best shot to make it to the Final Four. I think no other team has really a shot to get past the Sweet 16. I think they could shock some people and get to the Sweet 16, but nothing past that. Depending on Oklahoma State's seed, they are scary in the tournament, though. We've gone over that.
Yeah, we've gone over that.
And we'll talk about that when the actual tournament bracket comes out. But I think that they've got it. They have to beat Texas Tech to get into the tournament. If they don't beat Texas Tech, that might be the end of the road.
I totally agree. I think that they're going to walk all over this Texas Tech team, especially since Marcus Smart is just out for blood at Texas Tech, and I think it's about to be a blowout.
And it's a neutral court.
Yeah, I don't.
No home fans to heckle them.
Yeah, I just don't see that being a game at all, really.
Okay, so Kansas, Oklahoma State. It's funny how they play in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be one of the better games of the tournament.
I think the best game of the tournament. I think those are the best two teams, talent-wise, in this conference. And I hate saying that to Oklahoma, but I haven't seen Oklahoma play, and there's a reason for that. You know, I've got shit going on, and I watch the best games. I watch the games I can, and I watch the best games. Mm-hmm. And Oklahoma just hasn't had one of those big games. You know, they played Kansas, and they played Oklahoma State, and the Bedlam rivalry is huge, but they haven't been a national power yet this season, and they're only a 5 seed in Lunardi's bracket, and I think that goes to show how much of a favorite Kansas is in this tournament.
I think it's always been kind of a foregone conclusion that Kansas would be the one to really shine in this tournament. But I can't rule out Oklahoma State, and you really can't rule out Iowa State either. I think they've kind of shown they can play with anybody.
And in the tournament game,
Yeah.
Anything can happen on any night, especially on a neutral floor.
Right.
Anyway, there's our
Big 12.
12, which should actually be called the Big 10 because there's only 10 teams. That would cause a lot of confusion, though.
Yes.
But the Big 12, that starts on Wednesday
is the first round.
As most of these tournaments are.
And the quarterfinals start on Thursday.
Yeah, and they'll do a game a day, so no team has to play twice in one day. But that's our Big 12. We have Kansas winning if they can get past Oklahoma State.
Right.
Kansas is the only team I think that can get to the Final Four. I think Oklahoma State can make a run because of Marcus Smart and because of the chip on their shoulder. You know, they're trying to prove everybody wrong because they did lose 7 in a row, and they did have some really, really tough identity issues. And I think that they're over that, and I think that they're going to move past it. But I think that they need a strong Big 12 tournament.
And I'm excited to watch Andrew Wiggins in this tournament. He on his last game he scores 41, and
he says that his Kansas has gone by quick. He's going to take advantage of these games.
Oh yeah,
he's only got 9 games left maximum, and he's taking advantage.
He knows what all these games mean now.
And
yeah,
the biggest chance for a college player to improve or ruin his draft status is in the NCAA tournament when it matters.
Yep.
When the games matter, when you win or go home, when it's all or nothing.
And he stated at the beginning of the season one of his goals is to be the number 1 pick. That's one of his goals.
And to win a national title.
Right.
So it's that time.
I think both those things go hand in hand a little bit. If he really wants to show that he can be the number 1 pick over Embiid, he has the highest potential over Embiid. I think
they've got to win this. They've got to do well in this thing.
They've got to do well, and more importantly, he has to do well, especially without Embiid.
Yeah, exactly.
And that kind of went on, but that's our Big 12 tournament wrap up, and looking forward to seeing this one and catch our other videos on all the other tournaments. Later, guys.